Have you ever wondered where Vikings went for number 2? Or maybe you haven't really thought about it. With the luxury of the world today, we do not always think about how it used to be, especially 1,000 years ago. In Denmark, in the municipality of Stevns, in the city of Strøby, at the farm called Toftegård, there's been discovered a 1,000-year-old toilet dating back to the Viking Age. This toilet seemed to have been in a small house or maybe an outhouse. By using the carbon 14 method on the feces, it shows that it dates back to the Viking Age, and therefore there's a big probability that this is the oldest toilet discovered in Denmark. According to the PhD student Anna S. Beck from the museum in the southeastern part of Denmark, this was just a random discovery. She says, quote, "We were looking for small houses called grubehuse, which are small work cabins. On the surface it looked like them, but we soon figured out that it was something else. We know of outhouses from the late Viking Age and from the early Middle Ages, but not from villages or farms. People just thought that they used the stable where they have the animals to go to the toilet, and then used it as manure on the fields. The logic behind this is that the people in the cities just wanted to get rid of it, but in the countryside it was a resource to grow the crops. So I got very surprised when the results from the samples came back. There could be more of these discoveries to be uncovered in Denmark, but it could also be one-of-a-kind discovery. According to Anna, the people in this community might have been inspired by people in the Mediterranean and built a version of it when they returned home. According to Anna, archaeologists could have overlooked these finds in the past because they didn't think toilets existed outside the cities. In the results from analyzing the feces, they also found traces of honey, which is something animals rarely eat, especially in the same spot for years. If the Vikings ate bread with honey or drank meat is unclear, but there was definitely pollen from honey in the soil. The Vikings were not the only ones who loved honey. Even the Danes today are still in love with their sweet honey. And luckily for the Danes, they live in the country with the world's best honey. At least according to a big beekeeper conference in Istanbul last year. Personally, I always buy the Danish brand, not just because of its quality, but also it is important to support your local farms. But I don't brew meat, nor do I put it on a piece of bread. I like it in my tea. It tastes much better than regular sugar. Anyway, back to the subject. It seems that this farm was not just an ordinary farm, but a big farm with a wealthy community, and a community with a high status. Their living quarters were a big hall, 10 times 40 meters, and it seems that they have been living there for generations, because there were 4 other great halls close by, which date even further back. While this seems to have been a community of high status, it was not on the level as Gammelleje, another Viking village. As Anna says, the Vikings did not pick their houses from a catalog, which of course makes sense, and I would love to see what kind of gifts our soil has in store for us in the future. Just like there are variations in how Vikings practiced their faith, and which gods and goddesses were important to them, there also has to be some differences in their architecture. Not all of the archaeologists agree with Anna, and she has generally met resistance to the idea. Some archaeologists think that these excrements could have been put in the hole by other means, and not necessarily have been a Viking toilet. According to Anna, the thought that the excrements were used in the fields requires that the people had a more modern and rational ratio to their lives. We know that in other cultures all over the world, the treatment of excrements has been complicated, cultural as well as social rules and taboos. By looking at the toilet culture, we can learn a lot from their standards and rules within their society. We know that people and animals lived together under the same roof for more than 1,000 years in Scandinavia. But in the late Viking Age, the people and the animals started to distance themselves from each other. The people might have changed their habits and not just walk into the stable and sit among the animals. Since the excavation started in 1995 and only a third of the area has been investigated, there might still be more treasures from the past lying and waiting in the soil, ready to be discovered. Because you stayed with me until the end of the video, let me tell you a fun fact that you probably didn't know about. The Vikings had blue underwear. I know what you probably think. Did all Vikings have blue underwear? Well, maybe not, but some did, and time will tell if they used other colors on the underwear. But we know they used dye on most of their clothes. If the Vikings colored the underwear blue in this community is anyone's guess, but the plant they used, which is called woad, does not seem to have been grown here during the Viking Age. It did, however, grow in western Norway and maybe on Bornholm, which is a part of Denmark, that is located southeast from Toftegård. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a like. If you want to see more videos like this, remember to subscribe. See you next Sunday for another video. Thank you for watching.